What's going on? My name is Coach Lee Hopkins. My pronouns are he, him, his, and you're listening to the Patterns of Possibility podcast. This is a podcast dedicated to helping you replace harmful patterns with new possibilities. In each episode, we'll explore topics that inspire you to be yourself, live your truth, and make lasting connections. On this episode, we're going to talk about those people who are just like me, because once upon a time, I was just like this too. Those people who only show up when it's convenient for them. They show up in your hardest times to gawk at you, to show you support. I'm going to help you. I'm here for you, anything you need. But then, when you do need something that's not a big catastrophe, a disaster, they're nowhere to be found. Are you ready to talk about these people? I'm ready. Let's go. Have you ever had a friend who shows up only to comfort you in times of big stressors or, huge events, life events that are particularly catastrophic? They're not really good events. They're not really things that you want to celebrate, but they're like you lose your job or, something really bad happens. You get broken up with. You're really sad, and they'll come over and they'll help you out, and they say, they're there. And you might question those events. You might question their motives because, they're only around when big bad things happen. They're only around to see you suffer. That's what it seems like. And I can tell you that I was that friend who only showed up in those times where it's big stressors. That's where I felt the most useful, though, on my side. But I can get it. I'm with you. Look, I look like a stranger who just shows up when it's convenient for me, who just shows up in times of crisis. And I'm telling you, that was the only time that I felt useful, that I felt like I could be somebody for somebody, is to show up when they had a big, hard time. Because at the very least, I could get to work and do something. I wouldn't want to show up for those big emotional times, though. Like, okay, boyfriend breaking up or girlfriend breaking up with you, and you want to cry about them and such and such. I really wasn't great at that, but we can go out for drinks, and maybe after a few drinks, I could listen to you. I wasn't going to give you any great advice or anything like that. It was just going to be like, oh, wow, that's, yeah. And barely interested in your story. And that was me. That's how I showed up. And I thought I was being a good friend, honestly. It was only like when I started to realize that people require a little more emotional connection, that I wanted a little more emotional connection, that I stopped doing that. But the key to breaking out of that kind of thing, if you are a person who shows up in big times of big stressors or catastrophic events, trying to be helpful and useful, I want to let you know that you're not really doing a favor to your relationship, and you're being used. You're allowing yourself to be used. You're creating a situation where you're being used for whatever they need you for, if they want you around at all, because that's the only time you show up. That's the only time you show up. If you want a deeper, more meaningful relationship, you have to start connecting in the little tiny moments. You have to be more intentional and attentive to those little tiny moments that are happening in our lives. The smaller things, the day-to-day events. Otherwise, you'll be a stranger who only shows up when it's convenient for them. And that's what I did. I demonstrated that I wasn't interested in anybody else or their lives because I wasn't there for those little things that led up to those larger emotional events. So, before a breakup happens, there's lots of little conversations and there's little fights. There's little disagreements. There's good things that happen. There's happy times. There are lots of moments to be discussed before a breakup. Or there are lots of moments to talk through moving, if you had to move, or if you lost your job, or any other difficult and emotionally taxing event. There are little things that happen. And to create a more meaningful connection with someone, you really have to get involved in the small things, the day-to-day, the minutia of it all. You really have to get involved in those things. Talking to your friend once a week. What's going on? How are you doing? Asking them about their life details, like what their habits are. What is their day-to-day life like? I often talk about creating meaningful relationships using the history, hobbies, and habits. The more of those you have overlapping, the history is the idea that you have something in common from your past that created who you are today. Your hobbies are those activities that you do for fun and you enjoy. And then those habits are the day-to-day activities that create the future that you want. So getting to know those about your connections, your friends, family members, whoever you're trying to connect with, getting to know those about them will help you create a more meaningful connection. Instead of waiting until it explodes, the event explodes. There are so many different fights, little arguments, little events that have happened before their relationship blew up. And they needed somebody to talk to, and you weren't there. And now that everything is broken, everything is shattered, you want to come in and get the story and look like a hero and put this stuff together. Try to put it together and tell them that things are going to be okay. How could you possibly know that when you weren't there? You come in and you start invalidating their feelings. Well, I didn't realize it was that bad. There's other fish in the sea. It's not that bad. Maybe you're overreacting because you can't handle their emotional expression. Maybe they don't trust you because you haven't been there and you're only there to see how much suffering they're experiencing. I know I've felt that from people when I've showed up, and I've also felt that when people have showed up for me because we didn't have any kind of connection. Why are you here? What do you intend to do? You don't even know the details. I'm too upset to explain these things to you. I don't want to go through it over and over again with you. I don't believe that you care. If you did care, you'd be here more often. So the point of this episode is really to help you start thinking about if you have a friend who is distant, you have a friend, one of those friends that goes into a black hole where they start disappearing when they're going through things. I want you to reach out to that friend. I want you to keep more of a contact with them because we don't need people after the storm. I mean, we need people to help us while we're going through it. We need support. We need people to bounce ideas off of, to feel safe with, to commiserate with. We need people when we're going through it. So if you have one of those friends who disappears, go get them. If you are one of those friends who disappears, be seen. What I want you to do is start building relationships by sharing more of the little things that are happening in your life. Be intentional about sharing them with your friend. Hey, this is what I ate today. What did you eat? This is what traffic was like today. What was traffic like for you? This is what I did today. I wrote down. This is what I watched. This is what I thought about it. And if you can't do it every day, do it every week. Ask for details about what's going on because those are your friends. They're not strangers. They're not strangers. These are your friends. These are the people that are going to be able to support you in the hard times, but they will only support you if they know of the hard times. So don't be afraid to connect. Open up and start sharing. Do you want to feel more included at work or make a close friend to share your deepest thoughts and secrets with? In my 12-week coaching program, you will get step-by-step directions on exactly how to do that. And no, you're not going to learn to be interesting, entertaining, or outgoing because that's not authentically you. You will get powerful skills to overcome the fear of being misunderstood, judged, or laughed at so you can say what you really want to say. And if you don't know how to start the conversation, don't know what to talk about, or don't know where to find people that want to listen to you, this program is for you. You are going to learn strategic vulnerability. It's a powerful skill where you will discover your authentic self and set boundaries so that you can remove toxic relationships from your life and never open up to the wrong person again. Between now and the end of the year, I have room available for just a few new clients to join my VIP coaching program. If you want to start your new year off with the skills to make more meaningful relationships, then don't wait to make this change. Apply at the link in the show notes. Now it's time for your listener letters. If you'd like me to give you actionable steps to create more meaningful relationships with something that's happening with you in your life, you can write me at patternsofpossibility@gmail.com and I might read it here on the show. Hello, I've been in this situation for a few weeks and I told myself I wouldn't be bothered by it, but I keep thinking about it, so maybe I am. I met these friends a few years ago and we had this group chat ever since we met. There have been times when the group chat just went silent, but it didn't take much to get everything going again. I thought I could trust these people and I didn't really mind the chat being silent lately, but then one day I found out in Instagram stories of me that there were people in it and a screenshot of another group chat with everyone that was in the original group chat except me. I didn't think I did something bad to them that they decided to exclude me from their talk, so you can imagine I was taken aback. A few days go by and I decided to write them where I usually would, as if I didn't see that screenshot, asking how everything was going and so forth, and why the chat was silent for such a long time. I asked them if I did something that put them off, and I asked them to please tell me. Some of them answered telling me there was nothing wrong. Then after a few messages, the chat went silent again. Now, I don't want to be that person, but I think there's something they're not telling me. What should I do? Should I tell them about the screenshot and ask for answers, or should I leave it be and just say everything's over with them? Or maybe I should simply trust them. What do you think? Well, I want to say I'm sorry that you're experiencing this. You're going through this. This is hard. It seems like you're being indirectly dismissed. As I talked about in this episode, it's all about those little things, the little conversations that you have, the day-to-day things that make you a trusting and trustworthy friend. And if you're only getting to talk to them through the bigger, more explosive events, like perhaps they just decide, look, we left you out and we're going to invite you to join us at this bar. We're going to plan a trip and we're going to invite you to join. They might just share one of those things with you, but there's a little chatter going on every single day and you know it's happening in another group chat. You know it's happening. So that's really hard to kind of wrap your head around, because it does feel like rejection. It is rejection. They moved you from this group. What I would say, I want to just get right down to it. And the solution, the issue is that you saw the screenshot, you saw the story. And as far as I know on Instagram, you can see who saw your story. I believe you can. And whoever posted it perhaps knows that they saw your story. I don't know. Maybe I'm making that up. But something is going on. I think they know something's going on. Who's going to be the one to say it? Really, who's going to be the one to say it? Is your heart is on the line here. Your heart is on the line. And you really want to be close to these people. You really want to be friends. And you're seeing that they have left you out. There's an element of trust. You said that you thought you could trust these people. There's an element of trust that comes in with being able to share your feelings. So if these people are your friends, if you want them to be your friends, you have to talk about this. You have to tell them. You need to tell them what you saw. If you're trying to connect with them, if you want to be friends with them, you can't move past this, because you reached out via text, via the regular group chat, via the original group chat, and people just said, no big deal. It's not a thing. We're not doing anything. Hey, and then I imagine, as you're probably imagining, they go back to the other chat and they talk about you, or they talk about things, but they excluded you. So the element of trust So you have to trust them with your feelings and with the knowledge that you have. I think that they did something that was untrustworthy, because if they did move to a different group and they didn't tell you about it, then they weren't trusting in the fact that you could handle their feelings about whatever reasons they left you out. And then the element of trust that comes from you is, telling them how you feel about the proof that you have being left out and sharing that with them. Because if everything's going to be gravy, if everything's going to be great, everything's going to be fine, then it's an easy conversation to have. If you believe that they will listen to you and care about your feelings when you bring this up, it will be an easy conversation to have. But I imagine that you don't. I imagine that you don't think that they would care, or you don't think that they would listen to you or consider your side of it at all. Then with all that mistrust going around, is it worth it? Is it worth it? Do you want to be with these people who can't express their feelings to you? Who you don't trust? Or they don't trust you to tell you the truth about what's happening? This is really up to you to discover and to decide. But for now, what I would say is that the number one thing to do is to tell them about what you saw, because you have proof. You took a screenshot, I'm sure. You took a screenshot and you saw it and you were able to share that with them. So drop that proof in the group chat and then just watch the thing burn down. Let's watch it all burn down. Or, get some truth out of it at the very least. Like, you want to know what's going on. So go see if you can get that. And that's the way to do it. You tried once with just saying, hey, what's going on? Is there a problem? But now you have to bring the proof and see how they're going to respond to that. Then you decide what you like after they have responded to you. There's going to be some big feelings in that, and I recommend that you work it out. You go for it. Go do the thing. Instead of keeping this in your mind and keeping your mind open to possibilities, or what are they thinking or what are they not thinking. It takes a lot of brain power and bandwidth, emotional bandwidth, to continue to think about how things might be for them or what they might think of you. Instead, go get the answer. I implore you, go do it. So let me know how that goes. Thanks for writing in. Take care. Hey, thank you so much for listening. If you like this podcast, share with someone who you think could benefit from this information, and follow me on social media. You can find me at Patterns of Possibility on all social media, and I go live on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. You can catch me and learn more about these social connections and interact with other people who are looking for the meaningful connections, who share the same kind of stories, and be in community. And don't forget to sign up for my newsletter at patternsofpossibility.com, where you will get actionable steps delivered to your mailbox every week. Thanks again for listening. Until next time, take care.